Hi, I'm Kat Kalashian for Live and Invest Overseas, and this is how to move overseas overnight. If you're in a hurry to leave the US, here are 3 countries you could move to today, tomorrow, or anytime in the next few months. Whether it's a domestic or international move, a move generally comes with months of preparation. But if you're feeling a new sense of urgency these days, we put together this list of 3 countries where you can launch a new life right now without any preparation to speak of. Normally, though, we do advise prospective expats to start researching their options and planning their move abroad with plenty of foresight, usually years in advance in many cases. But many Americans right now may not feel that they have the luxury of time at the moment. The good news is that there are a handful of places in the world that you can move to without any planning or preparation. You can just book a plane ticket or drive, even in some cases, and start living there legally, filing your application for residency after you arrive, which is not the norm. Usually you need to prepare to file for residency before you move overseas in the local consulate wherever you live in Canada or the United States. But if you're looking to get out of the US before Inauguration Day, for example, due to increasing tensions or to launch a new life in a new country quickly for whatever your reason, here are your 3 best options. Belize. This is an English-speaking haven with Caribbean appeal. Really, it is quintessential Caribbean. Belize may be the world's best place to bug out on top of that. An American can travel here visa-free and stay for 30 days as a tourist. But to stay long-term, all you need to do is go to the nearest immigration office and pay $200 Belize, which is only $100 US, and that gets you an additional 30 days. You can continue to extend your visa 30 days at a time for a year. As long as you haven't left the country for more than 14 days, you can then apply for permanent residency in Belize and not have to renew your visa every single 30-day period. Belize is a great place to relocate to, not only because of its shortcut residency path, as we're calling it today, but also because it's just an all-around amazing place to live. It's been highly sought after for decades, frankly, from thousands of expats from the US and Canada for its warm tropical weather, its beautiful landscapes, both above and beneath the sea, and the friendly locals. Perhaps most alluring of all about Belize is the language. Belize is the only English-speaking country in Central America, which makes the transition to living here that much easier for prospective expats. Locals are friendly, and big populations of expats from the US, Canada, and other countries around the world are well established and integrated here, so you won't have trouble trying to fit in. Belize has a long coastline along the Caribbean that rarely ever sees hurricanes, allowing expats to make the most of the Key West lifestyle, southern Florida lifestyle here. And islands like Ambergris Caye and Caye Caulker offer the best of laid-back Caribbean living. The surrounding waters are some of the best in the world to swim in and even to fish in, thanks to the Belize Barrier Reef, the 2nd largest coral reef system in the world. On land, Belize offers dense jungle that's teeming with wildlife and punctuated here and there by ruins from the ancient Maya Empire. Mainland Belize is ideal for self-sufficient living as well, and its scattering of villages provide back-to-basics rural appeal for those looking to kind of escape it all. No matter where you settle in Belize, though, this is the type of place where daily news and headlines feel really far away and absolutely unimportant, which is something that a lot of people are looking for these days. On top of this, Belize uses a territorial system of taxation, which means it only taxes residents on locally sourced income. This is what you would typically call a tax haven. Expats can live here with no local tax burden depending on where their income is sourced. Expat haven for moving overseas overnight number 2, Panama. This is a highly coveted expat haven that uses the US dollar and has long-standing ties with the US, meaning that Americana is normal here, Americans are very well established here, and this is a place to come that won't feel very, very far away from home. It won't feel unfamiliar. In fact, Panama can be very familiar. I lived there for 7 years, and it can be very, very familiar to the US. This is an excellent choice if you're looking to leave the United States in a hurry. To relocate here permanently, you'll find that you need to gather important documents, which include proof that you can support yourself financially and an FBI background check. Or if you're living in Canada, that would be a federal level Canadian background check. But the only next step you need to take is get on a plane to Panama. Probably the best thing about moving to Panama is that you can do so easily. You can stay on your tourist visa for 180 days as a Canadian, US, or EU tourist. There are some countries that only get a 90-day visa, but the majority of people are going to receive a 6-month visa. So that means you can land in Panama and just enjoy life for 6 months before you really need to get serious about formalizing your residency status. To be admitted by immigration, though, for this 180-day period, you may be asked for, it's actually at the discretion of airlines and also immigration, but mostly the airlines you want to know, if you have proof of accommodation, such as a hotel reservation, someone to live with, or a long-stay Airbnb, for example. You'll also need to prove funds or that you have a credit card that will allow you to live there without becoming a burden on the state for the 6 months that you may be admitted there. And you may also be asked for proof of onward travel if you do not already have any kind of residency in process. If you do have a residency in process, all you'll need to do is show that interim card or document that proves that you have a residency that's already within the system. But if you don't already have this, you may be required to show a return ticket or a flight to another country, even a bus to another country. And it's not necessarily that you have to use that onward travel. It's that the airline needs proof that they aren't going to be held liable for sending you back home if you overstay your visa. So, for example, I've known people who have bought bus tickets to go over the Costa Rican border, very, very cheap bus ticket, and you can either try and refund it or just add that into a cost of moving fee. And it's really not a big deal. You just need to show that you have some way of leaving the country before your visa is up if you don't already have visa in process. Once you're in Panama, you can start the residency application process by selecting from the wide variety of visa options that the country offers. For most people, this is going to be the retirement visa, which is locally called the pensionado visa. And it's probably, for most, the easiest way to get residency quickly, regardless of your retirement status. So to qualify, you just need to be 18 years old. You need to receive a monthly income of at least $1,000 and you need to provide, as I mentioned, that police background check and a health certificate, which is issued by a Panamanian doctor as a part of your application. With these few documents, you'll prove that you're able to stay in Panama without becoming a burden to the government. And then you must file your application in Panama with a local lawyer. This is actually a legal stipulation, not just a suggestion. And once approved, you'll be issued a permanent residency visa that is valid indefinitely. Panama is a top expat haven. Its quick and easy residency options aside, like Belize, it uses a territorial approach to taxation, so expats can live here without a local tax burden, depending on the source of their income. But assuming you're ordering it overseas, you won't be held to any tax obligations locally. Plus, the local currency is the US dollar, which makes relocation very simple for US expats who don't want to concern themselves with exchange rates or transferring funds. It's economically stable because of the Panama Canal, and the capital is cosmopolitan and home to so many multinational corporations, which means there's a really big and diverse network of expats here to get to know. And as I mentioned, the culture is familiar for many Americans because of the former US presence and the Panama Canal Zone. Americans have been spending a lot of time here for over 100 years, which means there's a lot of Americana, and the culture is very, very similar to that we're familiar with in the United States and in Canada. Outside of Panama City, which we call the interior of the country, there is incredible biodiversity and natural beauty, including Caribbean and Pacific coastlines full of beaches, both fully amenitied, fully populated, and some that are so off the grid that you need a boat to get to them. There are islands, volcanoes, jungles, rainforests, rivers, waterfalls, deserts, public parks, both in the city, out of the city, and so much more to discover about the biodiversity and the diversity of natural landscapes in Panama, despite it being such a small country. So whether you want to hit the beach or go for a hike in the highlands, escape to a white sand Caribbean island, or go to one of the amazing surf beaches on the Pacific side that have held international competitions over the past couple of decades, whatever it is that you're looking for, Panama probably has it to offer. Each are one of the many ways that expats are attracted to Panama and spending their free time or moving here. Finally, number 3, Uruguay is the number 3 top place to move if you want to move quickly and easily. Uruguay is a safe, stable, unassuming country with the same tax advantages that I've mentioned for Panama and Belize. You can start the process of relocating by just getting on a plane. As a tourist, you can stay here for 90 days without a visa, and you can extend this for an additional 90 days or take up residency as long as you just go to the immigration center. To apply for residency, you just need to provide a handful of important documents, some of which you might have to prepare before leaving the US, which would include your birth certificate, your criminal record, a vaccination certificate, and proof of income, which must be at least $1,500 US per month. Plus, you'll need a health card, which is issued in Uruguay, and a local address where you intend to stay. After giving all of that in, you'll be given a temporary resident ID card, and then your application for permanent residency will be processed. When it's fully approved, which can take up to 18 months, so not the most overnight process, but definitely something you can start today and reap the benefits from a year and a half from now, you'll be issued a permanent ID card. Uruguay might not be on the radar of the average American, but it has so much to offer. It's actually become known as the Switzerland of South America because of its long-standing reputation for economic and political stability. Despite the regional trends of political division, Uruguay's general election, which was just held on October 27th of 2024, there were 2 moderate candidates who are in agreement over so many issues that are highly contentious. As political analyst Juan Cruz Diaz put it, in a way, Uruguay has been boring. But boring in this sense is very good. There was another quote that was often said about Belize by Morley Safer originally that said, "No news is good news" from Belize. Basically, as long as things stay status quo, as long as things aren't being volatile, as long as there are no big explosions in the economy or anything else, boring is good. Boring can be a very good thing. Uruguay also offers tax advantages that I mentioned with a territorial tax regime, as Panama and Belize both do, which means that only locally sourced income is subject to tax. The exception is for foreign dividends and interest income, which are taxed at a flat rate of 12%. However, Uruguay's 2020 budget law made the tax picture even more favorable for expats. New tax residents, meaning if you're just moving to Uruguay, if you have not been tax resident there before, you can request a 10-year tax holiday on your foreign income, which includes dividends and interest. Or you could choose for your foreign income to be taxed at a 7% flat rate for the duration of your tax residency. So great options there. Definitely something that you want to explore with your personal tax advisor. However, again, this qualifies 100% as a tax haven. What else does Uruguay offer? It's famous for beef production, so excellent steaks coming from this country. The gaucho culture, which is Spanish for the cowboy culture. Very, very cool part of a South American lifestyle is this gaucho culture, which you may be familiar with from Argentina, but Uruguay has it just as much as Argentina does. Football, by that I mean soccer, is a national sport, of course, and these wide open, gently rolling grasslands that are so appealing and so picture-worthy when people go to visit Uruguay. Montevideo is its lively capital city, also a coastal city, and just nearby is Punta del Este, a resort town situated along this country's beautiful Atlantic coast. I'm Kat Kalashian for Live and Invest Overseas, and these have been the 3 easiest places to move overseas overnight. If you could move to another country in the world, where would it be? Let us know in the comments and let us know your thoughts on these 3 choices that we've picked today. And for more on the best places to move overseas, check out liveandinvestoverseas.com. Don't forget, of course, to like and subscribe for more expert tips from us, Live and Invest Overseas. Thanks.